Well, you can do it in whatever order you want to. Little discussion about joints here. You can move up closer if you want to. Little discussion about joints. Joints are held together with tendons, okay? You don't need to cut through the bone. You can chop it with a cleaver if you want to, but realize that, again, joints are held together with tendons. So there's one tendon, okay? And then I go down to the side and I get the other tendons. And then I go back and get the patella, and I don't have to cut through bone and dull my knife, okay? So these come off pretty easy. I just know where that tendon is. I cut the side tendons. Oops. And then I get right down and I rip off the patella, although I don't know if it's called a patella on a chicken, so I don't know what happened there. So the legs are gone. There's an oil gland on this chicken right back here that secretes oil to waterproof the feathers and different things like that. Some people take the entire tail off. I prefer just to clip the oil gland. Apparently it affects the taste of the meat. Okay, so I get rid of that. Then I come over here and I want to open up the neck because I have to free the crop. A chicken, when it eats food, the food goes down into the crop, okay, before it goes into the gizzard. And so I've got in my hand here a good looking esophagus and a trachea, okay? So I've got the windpipe and I've got the food pipe.
Do you starve him for like 12 hours? Or?
12 to 18 hours. Why? Because I want that crop to be empty. The important thing, the reason we want that crop to be empty is because as I pull it through the body cavity, okay, I want to make sure that it doesn't squeeze out all its, contents. So to lighten up that crop, or to separate it, it's held right now with all sorts of connective tissue in there, okay? And if I try to pull it through, it's not going to go through, and it's going to be essentially caught up in there. So once I get that freed like that, I can take the head off, or you can take the head off before. But that's the easiest way to take the head off. So, but I can also check to make sure that that crop is empty before I do that, because if not, then I'll need to take other action. So anyway, this crop is connected right here. It's really connected to its right breast meat and the skin that's associated with that. It's interesting because it's always on that same side. Kind of like the heart is on the left side, the crop is always on their right side. So all I'm doing is tearing all this connective tissue so that I can pull it right through from the back side. Now, the esophagus is pretty strong, and the crop is pretty strong, but the trachea is not. Okay, so you may break the trachea, not a big deal. What's in the trachea? Just air. You're not going to poison. I mean, you're not going to get any stuff in there. So essentially, oh, and by the way, don't worry if the chicken squawks right now. Okay, he's still got a voice box, and sometimes if you do a little bit of this, you can get the chicken to squawk, and it's not alive, trust me. I scared my son the first time. He said, "Dad, it's still alive!" No, it's not. It's fine. Okay. So, I always make sure that that crop is really separated well before I go to the back side. Okay? In a bigger chicken or turkey, I'll slice here and then cut around the vent and actually truss the legs inside of that flap of skin. With a smaller chicken, I don't do that. Okay, I'll show you how I get rid of that backside. When you cut into here, you see some yellow, that's fat. Now, if you get a chicken from someone else, you may have a whole bunch of fat. Chickens aren't really fat. You are annoying. Same thing, you've got a bunch of connective tissue in here, and this is why I say turkey's easier, right? Because chicken last week, because it was such a small chicken I couldn't get in there. But it's the heart's right between the lungs, obviously. That heart. You want to pull it, okay? Now, oh, it just popped out of my fingers. That's fine. So, as I pull out here, I look to the front and I say, is that crop coming through? Yes, it is. There's the crop. This is what was in the front. Food goes to the crop, then it goes down to our favorite, the gizzard. Okay? And so that's why I want to make sure that's loose so it pops right out. And unfortunately, I left. Oh no, I got the heart. Okay. So now I'm in the back side here. If you have a bigger animal, you can truss it. You can cut around the vent. But here, I just cut down the left side. Pull that. Pull it to the right side. And the right side. left and right is relative based on where you're standing. So now I get this out of here. There you go. Now, the things I like to save out of this are the gizzard and the liver. Okay, so I like to pull the liver because I like to give that to my dog. Put a little water in there. Sorry about that. Did I get you? The gizzard is very, very healthy meat. The liver, the danger of the liver is the gallbladder. Okay? Beware the gallbladder. Heart, very good. Very healthy for the dog. Okay? This big thing right here is the gallbladder. Okay? Gall tastes like gall. If you get it on the meat, you can ruin the meat. So you want to be very careful. Now on a rabbit it's a lot easier to get out, but what you want to do essentially on this is actually tear some of the liver away. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but essentially I'm going to tear the liver away and leave the rest there. Now there's a kidney. I'm going to look at that too. And I'm going to leave the gall in there. We don't want it. Now, is this a rooster or is this a hen? It's pretty obvious when you pull these out. Yeah, those are pretty big. He is a rooster. Those are sitting right there on the backbone. And now if it was a hen, what would be in that place would be the starting of all the eggs. You'll see a bunch of tiny little eggs and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes if you butcher, you may have an egg right there and then the exit. And you pull it out and it's got a shell on it and everything, go cook it and eat it. Okay, the other ones I pull out and get them out. Because it has everything an egg has in it, it just doesn't have a shell. Yeah, these are good and healthy. Okay. So the next thing is getting the lungs out of there, and that's not easy. Okay. There actually is a lung removal tool that you can buy for chickens. Okay. And some people use it. It's a little scraper that you stick in there. I prefer to use my hand. What I do first is I pull the lung away from the rib cage, which you can't see right now, but that's what I'm doing. I'm sticking my finger back on the rib cage, and I'm basically ripping it away from the rib cage because then it comes out as a whole lung. Okay? And you don't have little bits and pieces in it. So, yes, that's edible. Not as nutritionally viable as maybe I should butcher a cow today.
Little veal for dinner?
Veal. Tastes good. Okay. So then I've got this second lung, which for some reason this one's holding on for dear life. It doesn't want to come out. And again, you want it as a whole, so you don't leave bits and pieces. That's the lung. That's the other lung. Those are, yeah, the two lungs from the front. Now in the back, along the backbone, you still have kidneys in there. And you pull those out. And whoa, that didn't work. Might want to clean that off. All right, so pulling the waste out of the backside here, and let's hose my table off. I like to keep the table clean. On the side. And you'll notice I didn't get all the notes off. It's not a big deal. You can get those later when you dress it and stuff like that. So I clean the center out, and you see that there's bits and pieces wasting there. And that's why it's good to have that wheelbarrow right underneath you. You can scrape it right off into the wheelbarrow. So let's take a look at the gizzard. Oh, what a beautiful gizzard this is. This is very rich meat. It's sliced diagonal along the natural crease of the gizzard. And you open that thing up. And gizzards, chickens eat rocks, and after the stuff goes from the crop, it goes down to the gizzard. And if you look, there's rocks in there. You see the rocks? Okay, that's how they grind up their food. This gizzard is a big, strong muscle. And that muscle basically grinds food up. And grinds and grinds and grinds. And so that's how they get all the nutrient value out of there. But one thing we can do here is we can pull off that skin. It's not the easiest to do. But we can pull off as I say again, you can pull off that skin.
You also,
Come on, get out of the way.
you learn you don't want to cut straight through the entire thing because then you'll dull your knife because you'll hit rock. And
Oh yeah, yeah. You notice I just hit the surface there? Yeah, you put that knife in there, you're going to dull your knife and have to sharpen it. But you should have a sharpener at your stand anyway, so you can constantly keep that blade straight. Metal files like that generally don't sharpen. They straighten the burr on a blade. Stone actually sharpens because it actually pulls off metal.
Thank you.
So I usually sharpen these with stone the night before and then use metal as I'm processing. Okay. So now we have on here what's called silver skin. Silver skin is this white stuff right here, and if I get it started, okay, I can peel it off, and I expose. It's really hard to peel. It's very tough skin. There we go. I've seen people bite it and pull it off. But when you process gizzards like the chicken sores or something, they pull it off and expose that real nice purple meat. That's a real vitamin-filled, yummy chicken gizzard meat that you're really looking for.